Okay guys, figured I would do a video on tools of the trade. Due to a ton of rain the past couple of weeks, we actually had some flooding going on here in the Birmingham area last week, and because all of our dumps are actually close to creeks, it made them pretty much inaccessible. So I've had a few comments asking me about bottle probes, and I figured it'd be a good time to kind of go over these tools of the trade. So I guess I'll get started with the bottle probe. You can buy this bottle probe right here on oldwestbottles.com. And what they do is they charge by the foot. Basically, it's about $10 a foot. Mine is 5 feet in length. It does the job just fine. You may want to get a 6-footer. Just find it a little bit easier to wield a 5-footer, that's for sure. It comes with a carbide tip on it, which keeps you from dulling the end out. Also, it's rounded, keeps you from just poking right through the glass by it being sharpened. You can see that mine is rusted heavily. Sadly, it is spring steel, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. I left mine in the back of my truck though, so it won't look this bad if you just use it and put it up like you're supposed to, but I got lazy and left it in the back of the truck. A couple of the key features are, if you look through the handle right here, you can see that it's hollow. Now, that's kind of a big deal because you want your probe to sing when the tip of it hits a bottle. So what I mean by that is the vibration from it hitting something solid will actually go all the way up the shaft and come out in this handle, and you'll be able to hear it or feel it. So that's a big deal. The other thing is you can see that the top part of the handle right there, the shaft does not come all the way through. That is a good safety feature because you do not want to be leaning on this rod and that rod to come through and poke you. Last thing you want to do is get impaled. So there again, oldwestbottles.com. I'll put a link at the bottom so y'all can look at it. Bear in mind, like I said, $10 a foot, and the shipping is going to be what gets you. I think I paid 50 bucks for the probe, and I think it was about 22 or 23 for shipping. But I mean, you're talking about something 5 foot in length, so I guess that's not too bad. I just realized that I did not talk to y'all about the bottle probes, basically the tensile strength of it. And what I mean by that is a regular spring steel, you can take it and you can bend it, and it will sometimes stay in that shape depending on how far you have bent it. Well, with this particular spring steel that they're using on these probes, you can go on their website and look. It'll tell you that they've actually took a 20-foot section of this spring steel and they have bent it into a complete circle and then released it, and it will go completely back straight. So it will not leave a bend in it at all. So the tensile strength is ridiculous. It's really impressive. There's not very many probes out there that can do that. I mean, I've tried to make my own in the past, and I have failed miserably. I've had 3 that I've made just out of regular 1045 steel. One of them I made out of a threaded rod. They just do not last. After the second or third time out, they break. So you may think that it's kind of expensive, and it is expensive, don't get me wrong, but it will last you a lifetime of bottle digging. So it's worth it. I would suggest to just go ahead and spring and save up and get it. If you're like me, I sold a couple bottles to get mine, but it's worked out to be a really big part of my bottle arsenal. Without it, I don't know that I would have found a couple of the places that I've been digging. So in either case, we'll move on to the next thing. Next thing I'm going to talk about is my sharpshooter shovel right here. This is an Excalibur shovel. It's basically just a metal detecting shovel, but I like this one a lot. One of the key features, I've talked about this in the past, really for me, is the handle. It doesn't have just the T handle. It doesn't have the holes in the end of it. Whenever you're bottle digging, your shovel's laying down in the hole with you a lot of times, and it's just a hassle to have a hole through your handle. It just fills up with dirt. It's really just a catch-all for crap, really. So I actually like this handle a lot. A lot of times you're sitting in the hole and you're kind of rowing like you're in a canoe. You're raking the dirt behind you. So this comes in very handy to have that handle on there. And the other good part about it is this made out of chromoly, the handle is, so you don't have to worry about rust on it. Super great. You can get these on eBay. Excalibur shovels, the guy that makes them, his name's Casey. Great guy. We've had conversations. He has really perfected the shovel, so I highly recommend it. All right, we'll move to the next thing. You can see in a lot of my videos there's a ton of roots overhanging us usually while we're in the hole. Well, this little saw right here is our savior. It cuts limbs and all kinds of stuff out of the way. I always keep an extra battery with me and about a 5 or 6 inch blade on it. Comes in very handy to just get those roots out of the way. Got a couple of hand tools we're going to talk about. This one over here that looks funny, I made that one. I wanted a really long rake to kind of reach back and rake in the back of the hole, and this is the thing that is probably the ugliest out of everything that I use, but it's actually probably the most effective. I need to get a better handle on it. There again, left it in the back of my truck and it is all kinds of rusty. But yeah, I just took some flat rod, had it welded together, and works like a champ. So if y'all have something laying around and you're shop savvy, that's a good thing to have. Over here is just a regular 3-prong rake, a small hand rake like you'd use for gardening. You can get those at Walmart, at Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever. Usually about $3. I mean, they're really cheap. This is a great extractor for your bottles. You can take this and push it directly next to the bottle and kind of pry, and it'll pop a bottle right out. Those are usually a few bucks there. Again, you can get it in the garden section at Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot. We'll step to the side over here. You've probably never seen me use a pitchfork, but in all honesty, this is a very, very handy tool. A lot of guys that are in this will actually cut these 2 prongs in the center out and just leave your outside prongs. And they'll jab it into the ground and twist it. And that breaks the ground apart and it keeps you from actually messing up the bottles, so it's pretty neat. Alright, we'll move on to the metal detectors. Alright, so like I said, we're going to talk about these metal detectors for a second. You kind of may wonder what the use of a metal detector is whenever you're out bottle hunting or bottle digging. Well, there's a few things that come to mind right off that I use them for. The first thing that's kind of will stare you in the face is the fact to find an actual bottle dump. The main thing about bottle dumps are they're not just there for the glass. They're actually the old town dumps, so they're covered with iron. So there's iron all in these dumps. And sometimes you may be looking for one and you can't find it and everything's just below the surface. That's where your metal detector comes in handy, and it will go off, and it will go off non-stop if you're over an iron layer that's in a bottle dump. So just something to keep in mind. You can use it for that. The other thing that you can use it for is if you're at the bottom of a hole and you are not sure if the dump is going to continue to go, and if you do not have a bottle probe and you do have a metal detector, you can swing your detector across the bottom of the hole. If it picks up any metal deeper in the ground, you know you need to keep going because there's another trash layer deeper than what you thought. So that's a couple things. Also, I use them for coin shooting and relic hunting as well. So I've got an F75 and an F19 sitting here. Both work really well. You can see that the coil is a little larger on the F75, so you're going to get a little more depth on it. The smaller coil, I hadn't even got the sticker off the bottom of it. I'm just breaking in the F19. Really, it's great for tight spots. So if you've got a small hole that you're down in digging, you may not have the depth that you do with the F75, but you're going to be able to get into a tighter, trashier area for sure. Also have the F-pulse right there, just to kind of wave around on the bottom of the hole to help you out as well if you didn't want to take your detector out of the car. It's a lot easier to backpack that in than it is one of those detectors, that's for sure. So this is the tools of the trade. This is what I use. I used to keep it all in my car, but as many of you know, that detector right there has been stolen before, and I was just fortunate enough to recover it. Not very many people do that, so I wouldn't recommend leaving your detectors in the car, but if you can, it's always good to have at least a sharpshooter with you and your bottle probe, because you never know when you're going to run across an area that you can use this to find either a privy or a dump. So I usually keep my shovels in the car. This shovel that's in the front, I didn't really talk about it. It's just your standard cheapo shovel. You can go to Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot and you can buy any kind of shovel you want to for 20 bucks pretty much. There's nothing special about this shovel. It's just really, it's probably about wore out. You can tell the end of it's already misshaped right here for how much I've been digging with it this year. I usually go through one of these a year. So every year I buy a new one. This one's already on its last legs. We've done a lot of digging with it. A lot of the stuff's already coming loose on it. And I usually stick with a fiberglass handle just because the wood handle is a little bit heavier. I know that Clayton and Tristan, they both use wood handled shovels. Just, it depends on what you like. But like I said, I just go for the cheap one and I replace it every year. So I hope this was helpful for everyone. If you have any questions or if you think that I missed something like gloves or something like that, which I know I did, feel free to leave it in the comments below. If you have any recommendations for something else that I should add to my arsenal, please let me know. Either way, we will see you in the next dig video.